And I touched on this, and I'm going to close on this. So, and I'll give one example. So there are investors who are more successful than I am. And I've seen investors who, so the classic thing is there's a conference called the Value Investing Congress, and some very, very persuasive and unbelievably smart people present there. So there's a couple of people who are big stars there, a guy called Bill Ackman and a guy called David Einhorn. And if any of us were to sit in a presentation with Bill Ackman and David Einhorn, we'd run out and buy whatever stock they're talking about, or sell short whatever stock they're talking about selling short. And sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. But this idea that you know, what we do in the world has got to resonate for us internally. And what I realized, and I'll just share this. So I have this relationship with Monish Pabrai, and people think that I say intelligent things to him. I don't. I think that what's going on there is, or part of what's going on is that he is naturally, because of the way his mind works, less averse to loss. And I have this family history where my family was, ancestors of mine were kicked out of Germany in the 30s. And I think that ricochets down the generations, and I have a mortal fear of loss. And so I think that it's beneficial for Monish Pabrai to talk to somebody about the investing world who has a mortal fear of loss, because he can read something into the situation that he couldn't read himself. I think that I responded better to the financial crisis by not denying that history of mine, but just, again, being honest about it, knowing that that was part of who I am, and then acting synchronous with that, or acting in concert with that idea. And I guess the simple idea is that whenever I've looked for answers outside of myself, I haven't found very good answers. And the minute I looked for answers inside myself, the world changed. And here's a better example. It was really hard for me to admit to myself that classmates of mine, Bill Ackman's from the year above me, and another guy who's famous for being a very successful hedge fund manager, this guy Chris Hahn. It was very hard for me to admit to myself that I was envious of them. But for as long as I didn't admit I was envious of them, I kept trying to live this life in New York City of being a big successful hedge fund manager. The minute I took the pain and was willing to say, no, you're just envious of them, and you should stop being envious of people. Envy, all emotions are a call to action. The emotion of envy is a sign that there isn't something right in your life. And the minute I redirected that energy, and like, we're talking wasting large amounts of money, renting big fancy offices with glass, with wall-to-ceiling glass, and trading room, and analysts and COO. I mean, that costs a lot of money, all because I was unable to admit to myself that I had envy for something that I shouldn't have envy for. And the minute I redirected that and said, well, how would I reset up my life, given that either I'm not able to, or I'm not successfully getting to where these people are? I found answers, and the answers were stop living that kind of life and live a life that's more in sync. So the inner journey is a great business tool. And with that, I'm going to stop and take questions. If somebody asks me to go through investment idea, just to give a sense, I will, but only if you ask me. So, floor is yours.